Hi, I'm Nat Wallen. I'm a real estate agent here in Charleston, South Carolina, and I just sold a house in Stono Ferry, and it was a really interesting process. It was a big house, and you'll see pictures of it here. But we had a little bit of a problem. There was work being done underneath the house, and all of the workers kept getting chased out of the crawl space by some wild animal. So we didn't know what to do, and we ended up calling an expert. And I'm going to introduce you to Brad Hillfrank with Mr. Critter. We met about 2 weeks ago, and he evaluated the job. His crew is getting ready to get started, and it was really interesting. So I thought, there's a lot more to, buying houses in Charleston than just looking at pictures of houses on Zillow. There's the community, there's services around the home. A lot of people have questions about snakes in the low country and alligators, and we're going to peel back the onion and find out all about wildlife and real estate. So let me introduce you to Brad Hillfrank. This is Brad.
Oh, hey, Nat. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
I'm Nat. I'd like you to meet my son, Rick.
Ricky, nice to meet you.
Yeah, he does all of our exclusions, and Chandler is my assistant.
Okay, what's an exclusion?
Exclusion is what we're doing today. He's actually going to be the man who critter-proofs this house.
Okay, very good.
He's going to go around and close every hole over half an inch.
Okay, and Chandler here is going to extract the possums from underneath the house.
Yeah,
He's going to go and tackle them. Is that
no,
what you
we'll
do,
actually
Chandler?
set a live trap for that.
Okay, Brad, show me around.
Okay, Nat, let's take a look. As you know, Nat, this house sits on the marsh. So being on the marsh and in the woods, there's a lot of extra critters that have to be dealt with. Some of the things we look at to make sure when we critter-proof a house is ground vents.
Okay.
Ground vents like these, we have to put a screen over the front of them, galvanized steel, so nothing can actually chew through. We'll show you that process here in a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see how we can get around here.
So, Brad, let me ask you, when you're evaluating a home, what I would picture is you would come in and basically crawl the entire crawl space if I felt like I had some kind of animal in there. Am I right in thinking that?
Actually, no. I do my best not to get in the crawl spaces. When you put your smell up under there, it makes it harder to catch the animal because the animal gets paranoid. Not only that, but I'm going to critter-proof from the outside.
Okay.
So what we do is we make sure every hole on the house over half an inch is closed up. Once we close it up, we can set traps inside the house, under it, and in the attic to catch any animals that might have been caught inside when we closed it up. The animals that are outside, we're just going to teach them this house isn't fun to stay at anymore.
That's a significant gate, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What's the craziest thing you've seen?
People ask me that all the time, and I always ask people, what do you think's crazy? I've done llamas, wild llamas. I've done wild emus.
Llamas in this state?
Yes, the llamas were in this state. A farmer actually had got one loose. It was loose for about 5 years. It went feral, became a very mean and aggressive animal, hired us to come out and get them. Same problem with an emu. An emu got loose from a local zoo, and they had to get it caught because it's a very dangerous animal. So they called us, and we went out, and we tracked it down and caught it.
Wow. I would not have thought llamas. I would not have thought emus. Okay.
But we do everything. I've gone to homes. I've pulled half a dozen rattlesnakes out of someone's bathtub one day. I've pulled raccoons out of people's ceilings after they fall through. I mean, crazy is kind of a relative term, For me, none of it's crazy. I see it every day, but
crazy is jumping in a lake and tackling an alligator. In my mind.
See,
and I think in most of our viewers' mind, they would probably agree.
Yeah, well,
so you're a unique.
To me and my son, it's our favorite thing to do on a Sunday.
That's great. Okay, black widows. You were mentioning black widows. Tell me about spiders.
Okay, so as a wildlife company, I don't believe in using poisons, so we don't do bugs, but we do anything deadly. South Carolina has a huge problem with widows. We have 3 different colors in our widows: black widows, brown widows.
Is that a brown recluse?
No,
okay.
Totally different animal.
Okay.
And we also have white widows that are almost pure white. Again, you can see photos of these things on my website just to get yourself used to seeing it. But what you want to look for first with a black widow is its egg sac. You'll always see the egg sac. It's always a spiked ball.
Okay.
So if it's a smooth ball, chances are it's not a black widow. If it's a spiked ball, it absolutely is a widow.
Okay. And are the widows the ones we should all be worrying about?
Yes.
Are there others that we should be worried about?
You know, anyone allergic to a bee sting needs to worry about a spider bite.
Okay.
Okay, but the
Okay.
rest of us who aren't allergic to those kind of things, most of the spiders in Charleston aren't that big a deal. We do have the recluses, and we do have the widows. Modern medicine means you get to a hospital and you'll be all right. It's just going to be a real rough couple days.
Okay.
The widows and recluses cause more harm to our pets. Our pets can't tell us that they've been bit. They just start acting weird. Babies, infants, when they get bit, they can't tell you they've been bit. And that's really where the biggest concern is.
Okay, so what should a homeowner do to protect themselves against widows?
Okay, so again, I go back to the Mother Nature answer, which is using certain eugenol oils. Certain eugenol oils from flowers, certain flowers and trees will actually are Mother Nature's defense against the spider. So it's like a natural insecticide that has no poisons in it. We take those and we cover the house with these oils. That way I can do this if you're on the marsh. I'm not going to hurt the environment. I'm not putting any pesticides or chemicals into the soil.
Yep.
And the spider cannot spin a web. It
Okay.
cannot stick once the oil's been sprayed.
Interesting.
Now, when we go to a house, it's because they've already got a problem. And we have to take out the black widows. This is one animal we do kill. It's very dangerous, so we don't try to relocate them.
Yeah.
And with these oils is what we use. We suffocate them with the oils, then we clean them out. That way you can monitor and know if they ever come back.
What do you normally see? Do you work on waterfront homes a lot? What do you normally see that comes from the marsh?
Yeah, we actually work on waterfront homes a lot, and the marsh is a real heavy place for a lot of animals. Number one is probably going to be rodents. There's more rodents on the marsh than anywhere else in the city or anything. There's just a lot of food. After that probably comes raccoons, believe it or not.
Okay, when you say when there's a lot of food in the marsh, what do you mean? What do rats eat?
Well, you know, rats can eat anything. They can eat anything from grasses to the crustaceans, the little fiddler crabs, stuff like that. Same with the raccoons. When the tide goes out, these animals come out and they eat. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when people see raccoons in the middle of the day, usually it's because the tide is out, and at low tide, all the mama raccoons come out to feed.
Okay, I thought that raccoons were like night creatures.
You know, they are. They like to run in the shadows. They're really low in the food chain, just like rats. They like to run in the shadows, but they're comfortable day or night. You know, it's just a safety thing to them. But when you got to eat, you got to eat.
Right, okay, I see. Okay, so they're not like possums that sleep all day. Do possums sleep all day?
Yeah, possums sleep all day, and most raccoons sleep all day, okay? But again, like the mother raccoons, when they have babies and those babies are nursing, mama needs to eat as much as she can, as many times a day.
Sure.
Well, our tide changes every 6 hours or so.
Right.
So she's going to come out when the tide turns, because when the tide goes out, it exposes all the mussels, the clams, the crustaceans, the little crabs. That's her food.
I see. Okay. All right. So if you had to gauge, like, what's your number one animal that you go and track? Is it rats?
Wow.
Raccoons?
I don't know. That'd be tough to say. We probably do more rats than anything.
Yep.
But when you do any job, whether it's raccoons or possums or bats or birds, you rat-proof the house no matter what.
Okay.
So you think of every job as rats, and then you solve all the other problems while you're doing it.
Oh, great. Oh, okay. Good point.
Like this house here, they have a larger animal that's underneath, but they also have some rodents. So what we're going to do is treat for the rodents and then catch the larger animal.
Interesting. Okay, so why don't we jump into that? I know you've walked around this house before, and I think your crew is getting started. So why don't we just jump into that, and let's see what that looks like. How are you going to proof this house?
Sounds good. Okay, well, some of the things we do look for when we're doing an inspection is making sure there's no holes, like I said, over 1/2 inch. So a lot of times you look at the areas where the trim meets the brick up top.
Yeah.
Make sure it's real tight. That's a great place for bats to go.
Okay.
Bats will live there and you'll never even see them.
How can you tell if you've got bats?
Well,
are they annoying to homeowners, bats?
Not really. They don't make a lot of noise. They can cause an odor, that's for sure. They can cause a real bad odor. But usually what you'll see is there'll be a lot of poo on the side of your house. And that's usually the number one sign for people. This house does not have bats, and we're going to make sure they never do.
Okay, great.
Okay. Another thing we do is we track animals. So when we approach a yard, we like to look and see what animals like this house. And then that tracking will tell me species, age, male or female, how long it's been here. And then I can take that information and apply it to the house.
Okay.
That's how we know how to critter-proof a house the best way.
Okay, great.
So like when we first approached this house, we found a lot of trails coming from the marsh up here through these bushes.
Right.
And the bushes give cover all the way up to the house.
Okay.
Once at the house, the animals can walk around and find those little bitty holes.
Okay.
So when we go in here, we found a lot of holes in the brick. And you'll see one of my men is down here closing those holes right now, and we'll show you kind of how we critter-proof something.
Okay. And when you critter-proof, what does that mean for the homeowner? Does that mean like, hey, we got you ever have a problem, call me up? Or?
That's right. We give a 1-year warranty.
Okay.
For the next year, if you see, hear, or smell something, just give us a call.
Okay.
We come out and take a look at it. The only thing our warranty won't cover is if an animal just chews a hole right through the side of your house.
Okay.
I can't stop that. But as a client, you'll always pay pennies on the dollar afterwards.
Okay. That might be a premium service that you add on to, like bring someone out and kill them on site if you see them eating a hole in someone's house, right?
Is that right? Yeah, right.
No, let's talk about that. Let's be serious about that. You don't hurt animals, right?
No, we don't. Actually, we don't kill anything if we don't have to. All animals get the first couple of options, actually, to get out alive.
Okay.
There's no reason to kill an animal just for trying to make a home for itself.
Yeah.
We do it, they do it. So we use different things like repellents, sounds. We do things to try to get into the animal's head and make it just not like the house anymore. At that point, the mothers will get their babies out. They can do it overnight, so we don't have to. We don't have to worry about the rescue option, because when we get babies that have been abandoned by their parents, we have to take those to rehabilitators and get them raised.
Okay.
So we just like to let the mamas raise their own babies if possible.
Okay. All right. A big question that I get when people are coming to the Low Country for the first time is they're worried about alligators. Talk to me a little bit about alligators. I know you called me the other day saying, hey, I'm going to go remove an alligator from a pond. Would you like to join me? And that was like, that was not on the top of my list that day, but it sounded interesting. So tell me about that.
Well, alligators are here. And because of all the salt water, they're forced into all the freshwater ponds.
They don't like salt water.
They really don't. They'll go in it, but they don't like living in it.
Okay.
So if you've got a freshwater pond in your neighborhood, a retention pond, you got to understand that chances are there's going to be an alligator in it. So what we do is we come out and we catch the alligators alive. We don't harm them in any way, and we remove them and relocate them using magnets on their head so they can't find their way back. And then at that point, they're released and they can go on with a good life.
Tell me about the magnets. That's
okay.
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. An alligator relocates itself back to where it came from by using magnetic poles of the earth. They can also see polar north, kind of like a bird can, things that we just can't see or feel. So if you move an alligator, he just remembers the poles of the magnetic pole of the earth, and he knows how to get back home. If you take these magnets, I use rare earth magnets, and I tape them right above the eyes, in front of the ears, and that makes it like static on your TV. Okay. And as you're moving him, he's got no idea where he came from. He's got no idea what direction to go home. So when you release him, he's not going to come back.
Interesting. Wow. How many calls do you do a year with alligators? I mean, is it?
It's different.
What's the rule? I mean, is there a rule for neighborhoods? Like I hear, well, it's not a big alligator. They won't mess with it until it gets 6 feet tall or 6 feet long. Is there any truth to that, or what do you know about
Here's how it really works. It's about the animal being deemed a nuisance. The number one cause for an animal being deemed a nuisance is when humans go out and feed that animal.
Okay.
So that animal then understands that humans provide food.
Okay.
And then what happens is an adult goes out and throws some bread or hot dogs in the water. It's fun to watch the alligator eat. Then 3 days later, a child approaches the lake and the alligator approaches the child.
Oh.
At that point, you got a seriously dangerous situation.
Yeah.
The alligator is not there to attack humans. I've been jumping on alligators almost 30 years, and I don't think I've ever been attacked. I have to attack them in order to provoke them.
Okay, so that's how you catch them.
That's how I catch them. I jump on them. That's right.
Wow. You jump on them in the water, or do you pull them out of the water?
Both. Sometimes I've gone in when it's cold water. You can go in and pull them out of the water. If it's really warm out, we try to use a fish hook and catch them on the scute on the side of their back so it doesn't hurt them.
Yeah.
And then we pull them to the bank, and then from the bank we just grab them, pull them up, and tie them up. You can see this kind of stuff on my website.
Okay, and what's that address?
That's MrCritterSC.com.
Okay.
And you can go to gallery and just look it up. You'll see me and my son playing with plenty of them.
Okay, all right. I'll link it below the video. Okay, so last time we were here, you found some rodent activity. Tell me what you're looking for.
Well, good timing. Right here is where we found a lot of it.
Okay.
The animals can go inside those brick holes. That puts them behind that wall, which is actually below the house.
Okay.
And from that point, they can get in. Now, again, we had a bunch of rain last night, so a lot of the debris we normally see has been washed away.
Yep.
But I think we've got some tracks up here. I can show you what it looks like.
Okay, some rat tracks?
Yeah, something that rodents are making every day.
Okay.
I can actually stand right here and see where the animals come through, and there's a trail right here. There's a little spot in the pipe here. It's a little crink down. That's where he jumps over, and he keeps running alongside the house.
Interesting. Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
So they're crunching the pipe there.
As they go over, that's why it's only right there.
Brad, how did you get into this line of work?
Well, my friend, I've been in this my whole life. I was a builder for a long time. My hobby was wildlife.
Okay.
I've been certified in alligators for about 30 years.
Okay.
Certified in venomous snakes about 25, and I've been certified in large cats like lions and tigers for about 25 years.
No kidding. Well, we don't have any issues.
No, you don't have those
plant any
here.
seeds. There are no lions and tigers to worry about in South Carolina.
That's right.
So, Ricky, tell me, what are you working on right now?
Right now I'm working on these ground vents. It's
Okay.
a little weird ground vent system.
Yeah.
It's a perfect hole right into the crawl space of the house.
Okay.
Puts anything inside the house and wherever they want.
So tell me, you're putting the screen on.
Yeah, what I'm using is galvanized 1/4-inch steel mesh.
Okay.
It's really tough. It's got barbs on the edges to stick into wherever I put it. And I take this foam here. It's pure black foam. It's the most highest grade foam you can buy in a can. And I put little dabs on it in it. So if a raccoon, for example, walked up and wanted to mess with it, he could run his fingers in this, push and pull, and it won't go nowhere. It'll last forever.
Got it. Cool. Let's talk snakes real quick.
Okay.
So, you said that snakes are good. Can you elaborate? What do they do for us?
Okay, so snakes, venomous or non-venomous, have a huge impact on our rodent population.
Okay.
And our frog and lizard population, which a lot of people don't think about.
Okay.
We have a lot of those here in Charleston, and if snakes weren't there to control them, they would be covering our homes.
Okay.
So keeping them in your yard is always a good thing. When you see a snake and you don't want it in your yard, the worst thing to do is to kill it. Okay. It's just taking a predator out of the food chain that we need.
Okay.
So what I suggest is get you some cinnamon oil, clove oil, spearmint, something like that, the essential oil, and you can mix that in a small spray bottle with some water. The stronger you mix it, the better. Spraying that around your house, in your ground vents, around your doors, stuff like that, makes it very painful for any snake to be in the area.
Why is that?
They have something called a Jacobson organ on the roof of their mouth. And when the tongue comes out, they're actually tasting the air in order to bring it in, and for lack of better terms, they're smelling what's going on. But that Jacobson organ, when it gets the cinnamon that's in the air, that smell that all of us love so much, it burns. And it burns really bad.
Okay.
So the pit vipers, the venomous snakes, they have pits on the bottom of their jaw.
Okay.
They breathe in through those pits.
Okay.
When they breathe in and that cinnamon's in the area, it's real painful to their entire jaw. Okay. So the snakes just avoid it.
Okay, I see. Yeah, interesting.
It's the best way to go.
How about snakes getting in a house? Does that happen?
It happens all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, people go in and out and leave their doors open because it's a nice summer day.
Yeah.
And then the snake just runs along and just kind of gets in by accident. Snakes do not want to be in your house. There's nothing in your house for them, but it does happen by accident all the time. More commonly, a snake chases a rodent under your house.
Yep.
And if there's a hole next to a pipe under a sink or something, If the rodent's ever been there even once, the snake will go there. And that's usually how we find snakes inside people's homes.
Around the plumbing.
That's right. They're just chasing rodents. They're looking for a free feed.
Ricky, let me ask you, what do you guys do with the alligators that you catch?
Well, usually we try to take them 30 to 40 miles as the crow flies to relocate them.
Okay.
For example, if we caught one south of Charleston, we take them as far north of Mount Pleasant as we can. We usually run them up a river. We take them where there's no civilization.
Yeah.
It's just woods and water, so they're safe and they can move on and with their lives.
Interesting. So let me ask you one more question. Have you ever been bitten by anything?
Never by a gator, but I've been bitten plenty by some snakes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. And what's that?
Well, the only snakes I've been bitten by are non-venomous, but usually I almost have to get bit sometimes because usually when I find a snake, they're in a real weird spot.
Yeah.
When they bite me, they think they got me, but really I got them because now I can get my hands on them if they got their mouth on me. Only non-venomous, though.
Awesome, man. That's great. Brad, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
No problem. Thank you.
This has been really interesting. Tell me your website again.
It's MrCritterSC.com.
Very good. Well, look, there's going to be a button below so people can reach right out to you if they need your help. And this has been really enlightening. This is an interesting business that you're in, and this is really going to be helpful information for people making a move here because, again, my two biggest questions are, what about hurricanes and what about alligators?
That's right.
Yeah.
The two things you got to get used to in the South.
Right, and I'm assuming there's nothing you can do about the hurricane.
No, not yet.
But it looks like you have the critters under control.
Yes, sir. We try to keep them under control. Yep.
Excellent. Thanks again.
Thank you.